Attorney General John Ashcroft holding out a carrot to non-U.S. citizens living here in the U.S., promising priceless benefits for their assistance in the war on terror. Take a look.
Under this new initiative, the Department of Justice will provide immigration benefits to non-citizens who furnish information to help us apprehend terrorists or to stop terrorist attacks.
Is John Ashcroft's proposal a bad idea, or should we do whatever it takes to win the war against the evildoers? For some insight, we're joined by immigration attorney Michael Wild. It's good to see you again, Michael. We haven't seen each other since Elian. That's a whole other issue. Now, what about this? This idea has been on the books for a while, right?
Since 1994, the government has promulgated what's known as an S visa, if you would. They go from A to Z. The S visa is a visa for individuals who have intelligence or information on an act of terrorism or a crime that will be committed or can be averted. And frankly, the government is now coming forward saying, if you give us information and it's cultivated properly, then we will reward you ultimately with a green card and citizenship.
Now, does this forgive past sins if you were in cahoots with a person you're turning in?
Interesting question, because one of the exceptions to the rule is if you've ever been convicted of a crime that is punishable by more than a year. There's a lot of good, bad, and ugly, if I can quote a classic movie. The synthesis of all this will be culled out in time. The good is that finally the government's getting down and dirty, and they're going to get the information and find out those religious clerics, students, and diplomats that really are not doing the right thing here. The bad is ultimately that these individuals, if the information is no good, will not only rat on bad people, but could be removed themselves. And the ugly is that we are not going to have a very good environment. Lawyers will not come forward. Our office as an exception, because we've helped cultivate diplomats and other defectors in the past. But most lawyers in this country will not come forward with individuals because of the risk.
Well, Michael, you've actually had experience. You've defended some suspects in terrorist cases. A guy who was involved in Khobar Towers, or who was a suspect in that?
Absolutely, now, with an eye towards getting government information.
Are these... They don't appear to be the sort of people that you could squeeze for information. Are they tight-lipped, or do they rat on their cohorts?
They won't rat in the environment that is presenting itself now. The government has to cultivate these individuals as human assets. You can't take an FBI agent from Wyoming and put him in a terrorist cell in the middle of Afghanistan. The government is still tweaking and trying to do what many of us have testified on Capitol Hill in years past are trying to encourage. We hope that this is the beginning of this effort, and I'm glad to participate.
I got to ask you, Mike, you've been an immigration lawyer for a long time. Have the events of September 11th and what we found out about the terrorists who are right here in our homeland, has it changed your views or opinions about immigration?
Not really.
Not at all?
I've always had the
You don't think we should put up more barriers than before?
I've always felt that, David. I'm probably the minority in my office and in the country. I've always felt that we need to bring the good eggs here and root out the bad ones. And the problem is that the government, at its highest levels on prior administrations, has had agendas, whether it's a fellowship with Saudi Arabia and other nations, that have stepped in the way. We have rank-and-file FBI agents that are sometimes cut off by supervisors. The fact is, a lot has not changed, and our vulnerabilities are constantly being assessed. The World Trade Center should never have happened.
Well, that's for sure. We can all agree on that. Michael Wilds, immigration attorney and city councilman in Englewood, New Jersey. We thank you very much for coming in. Well, covering the war on terror, it's a deadly assignment for some journalists in Afghanistan. A few have actually paid the ultimate price in their effort to report the truth. Geraldo Rivera gives us an inside